Hey, tribe.
Hey, man.
What's going on?
What's up?
I met some random stranger and he was eating a bread.
What's a bread?
A bread, it's like a soft round thing full of calories.
Calories?
That's what he called them. Calories give us energy.
Dude, that sounds fake. Bison meat and berries give us energy.
Yeah,
bison.
Yeah.
But did you notice we always have to move around and look for them?
Well, duh. They don't just grow in a single place. We can harvest regularly and predictably.
Yeah, bro, didn't you hear? We're nomadic hunter-gatherers.
Yeah, I know, but this stranger told me the secret to bread.
What's the secret?
You plant some seeds in the ground, and then wait for a really long time, and then you get grains that you smash up and mix with water, and then you cook them.
Have you been eating the wrong mushrooms again?
Trust me, this bread stuff is a really big deal. We should try it.
Can we still eat bison?
Well, yeah, but there's an even easier way. We can capture a bunch of little animals and build a house for them, and then we can grow them like a family.
Oh,
that's
so cute.
Adorable.
Aww.
And then use their byproducts and eventually kill them and eat them.
Dude, what the...
Hello and welcome back to Oxucapografia, or OXG for short. This is the second episode of this new series where, using the game Cities Skylines, we will be organically building a fictional historic city of Oxucapogрафia, modeled around the real-life history of the city of Lisboa, Portugal. If you're new to the series, be sure to check out the first episode, where we established 8 tribes around our modified Roslin Peninsula map. If you found this video on accident because you were searching for history videos or something, I hope you stick around anyway because this game is a lot of fun and I'm going to try to start this city project in a way that the game doesn't actually permit. To accomplish this, we'll use mods and some imagination in this early part of prehistory while we establish our human populations across the map. As the city grows, we'll be able to incorporate more of the regular game mechanics. So in this episode, we'll begin in the early Neolithic Era, about 5,000 years after our last episode. Farming technology has been moving slowly across the world, and it took about 5,000 years for the idea of agriculture to spread all the way to the westernmost part of continental Europe from a center of origin in Mesopotamia. During this revolutionary change in human behavior, we see hunter-gatherers begin to settle permanently in small, egalitarian villages, and focus on the cultivation of selectively bred cereals, pulses, and the domestication of animals. Right now, our tribe number 1 has been using this hill as a nomadic campsite, and it doesn't lend itself well to early agriculture. There are some wild grains, berries, and other types of simple foods for foraging up here, but it's not enough to permanently sustain a population. Looking down this hill, there seems to be ample fertile soil around the river. There's lots of opportunities for farming around here, but it's not well defended in every spot, so we'll consider a hill near the fields to establish our first village. And to do that, let's start with a road to begin our journey down from the top of the hill. First, we'll quickly turn on our topographical contour lines and then open up the roads menu. This road is a modded nature park path road, and we will just remove the lampposts that come with it and change the texture from gravel to just plain dirt. And let's make sure we set up our road tools the right way to allow us to make our way down this hill. It's important to turn off tree anarchy here. I've set it so that any trees I build over are permanently deleted and not just covered up, so I won't need to bulldoze each one. This is going to save us some system resources as the city grows. Now, we don't want to go directly down the hill. That would be way too difficult. So we'll snake our way as we can. Now you notice the road does modify the terrain a bit when it's placed, and so we'll try to make as little an impact on the land as possible at this early stage. We'll try to follow the contours for the path of least resistance as we work our way down. Should we go down to the left, go straight ahead, or should we curve over to the right? I think we'll go straight. Our village should be a little higher up than its surroundings. Things are peaceful now, but there are still dangers to be on the lookout for. Wild animals, occasional raiders coming by. So we don't want to be down in a valley, we want to be up on a little mound. That looks pretty good. Pretty good. Alright. Now we're at our new hill, which will be much easier for villagers to access than the original hill. Our first asset we'll be placing is this roundhouse, made by Akko Spoot. It's a 1x1 residential building, but since we aren't connected to the main infrastructure, none of our Rico buildings will work anyway, because no Sims can access this village by car. So we'll convert the building into a procedural object, which effectively turns it into a prop. I know many of my viewers are here from my 100% Vanilla Baby series, so I'll give some basic explanations to things that maybe not everybody knows. If you are familiar with the mods, don't worry, this won't be a tutorial. I've just changed the color and chosen something that looks more like it's made out of straw and clay. And now I'll copy and paste more of these roundhouses in this area. We'll start with 7 roundhouses for now, just like the huts in our original Paleolithic campsite. A major technological advancement that has been discovered by this point is well digging, which makes getting water a lot more convenient than before. Another technology that will change the way people live and work is pottery, which I'll represent with these milk cans. I won't get into details about how pottery pops up in weird ways in the Neolithic era in different places around the world. For simplicity, we'll just say that they have pottery here already. This is the start of our first village. Doesn't have a name yet, because we don't know what language these people spoke. This is in the pre-Indo-European times, so your guess is as good as mine. But if anyone has an idea for a name, say so in the comments. Maybe we'll put that in the next episode. Let's add another road. Although road isn't really the right term since it'll only be a path. But since I'm using a path that acts like a road within the game mechanics, I'll still call it a road for now. We'll work our way down this side of the ridge and expand our village around the hill and down towards the more fertile land. To cover up this gravel piece at the intersection, I'll just place down a theme decal that mimics the surrounding ruined texture. Now it's time to get farming. On the hillside, it's not that easy to grow cereal crops, but we can start with some berries. Those should grow well enough here. And we'll use this big farm decal. I'll show you how using it as a decal or using it as a procedural object can change the properties of how it floats on the terrain. Here we don't want to plow up the hill too much, so with procedural objects it will trim anything above or below the actual height of the decal. Now we can plant some of these bushes with the little red berries on them. This is looking nice. Plenty of berries to gather here so we don't have to go wandering around the large area to find enough to forage. Let's get another road going to access more of this area. And we'll snake it around like before, following the terrain and the path of least resistance. It's generally easier for people to walk a longer distance on a flatter slope than a shorter distance on a steeper slope. You see, I forgot to turn off tree anarchy so the trees just pop through the road. That's okay, we can just delete them. Now let's clear out this little field here for our next agricultural site. We'll be using this primitive hut asset by New City. And although it's a prop, we will convert it into procedural object so that we can customize it a bit. I think it's a little too modern looking for this period. First, let's just change the color a bit to make it blend in with the other wood colors we've been seeing so far. Now I could have done this using the paint prop tool integrated in Move It, but I want to do more. So let's shrink it down and widen it using the basic scaling tool. Now, the shingles on the roof are also kind of futuristic, relatively speaking, so let's get a PO square. Now, if I was to place this down as a prop, it looks just like this, so be sure to convert it to PO before you use it, and when you do that, you'll see nothing. But you should open up your textures folder and choose a texture. I've downloaded this thatch texture into my library, and so we'll use that. Now we can try to get a better color and then begin to change the shape and angle of this to fit onto our roof. If procedural objects has always seemed like a super complicated thing to you, just watch what I'm doing here. It's really a simple and easy way to customize a lot of different assets, or even create your own while you're playing. They'll only be props though, unless you hide a block service in them somehow. Just be aware that overdoing the amount of PO can end up using a lot of system resources if you're not careful. Alright, we've got our Neolithic shed here, and we'll place it down and begin our first little animal farm. We can use sheep. Now I'm using the prop sheep instead of the live motion ones, because the live motion ones are actually gigantic. They're like the size of a horse. I'm not sure why, and I can't change that. So we'll sprinkle some sheep around here, which the villagers will use not just for meat, but also their secondary products of milk and wool. This secondary products revolution, as coined by Andrew Sherratt, actually occurs over 1,000 years in the future from right now, but we'll just lump it together because it won't change anything, and it's still part of the overall Neolithic package. Now I've placed some grasses and grass-themed decals around here to make a nice little pasture. And the sheep are going to need some hay to eat and some straw for bedding. So let's place some haystacks next to the manger. It's a manger, right? We can construct a simple fence around the perimeter of the pasture. And now it's looking like a pasture. Let's just add some bedding hay around the manger for that extra touch. Okay, we've got berries and we've got sheep, but we've skipped past the most important crop, wheat. I'm not sure if this is going to be emmer or einkorn or barley, which are 3 of the original domesticated wheats known as founder crops, so we'll just call it wheat. And not only does wheat provide food, but also hay and straw used for construction and animal feed. So we'll make a road that goes down towards the flatter, more fertile soil by the river, where we can look for a good place for our field. Although it's not perfectly flat, I think this spot looks pretty good for a first field because it's close to the village center. Let's copy our big farm decal, and instead of using PO right away, it looks like the decal coverage is better, so let's use it as a decal, except in just a few corners. For our wheat, we'll use this asset, the tall grass basic yellow cluster, and we'll adjust our parameters on Propline tool to get the spacing just right. Now let's just add some hay around the edges of the field so it doesn't look so squared off. I think hay is used anyway in farming to kind of control the soil and erosion a bit, so I think it not only looks good, but it makes some sense too. Several haystacks should go alongside the wheat field so that farmers can put the hay right there when they collect it. Hay and straw are important resources, and Neolithic people are going to want to optimize as able in this new lifestyle. But of course, the wheat grain is the most important product to collect, so we'll use this granary asset. It's a commercial 1x1, but we'll place it as a procedural object. With all this agriculture going on now, our population is ready to expand. Let's add at least 2 houses per work area. Now that we have grains and some more people, let's take a look at the kiln, which is the oven we'll use to bake the grains into bread. We can place them over here near the village center, and I'll add a little smoke marker for some animation. Next to the kilns, we should place some more granaries for some extra logistical efficiency. Think of it like Industries DLC. You have the silos near the farm, and then the crop is moved from the field to the silo, and then from the silo to the production facility, which is our kiln here. Okay, we've got berries, we've got sheep, and we've got wheat. But now let's get some pulses, which were also part of the founder crops package. Pulses are legumes like beans, peas, chickpeas, lentils, etc. They also play a key part in crop rotation and have different growing season than the cereal grains. These are grown for human as well as animal consumption too. We'll place a field over here and use the tiny bush by P. Delmo to represent our pulse. I'm not totally sure which was the most prevalent in Portugal in the Stone Age, but let's just say they're lentils. Everybody should be eating more lentils. They're healthy for you. Now that we have our 4 types of farming areas, we can add some detailing, like wheelbarrows, featuring the brand new wheel. The benefits of this are pretty obvious, I think. And we can add some pottery around. Now you'll notice that I often drag a highlight box over many different trees or props, and what I'm doing is selecting them all and pressing Ctrl T, which lowers them to terrain height. On a less than flat map like this, many props end up floating in the air when you place them, so this just fixes that quickly. Now the village is mostly done, but we need to do some important detailing with trees and vegetation to make it look real, because you know how I love my trees. No matter how nice the ground texture is, without trees and vegetation, the map is just a blank canvas. So I'm going to try to use just a handful of different trees. Most are made by Mr. Mason or P. Delmo. Mr. Masons are always extremely lifelike but often have a very high triangle count, so it's best not to use too many of them. P. Delmo has a good collection of low poly trees that still look very good, so they're better for using as fillers. A quick update here, I recorded this before the new Mr. Mason vanilla trees came out, so maybe I can incorporate some of them next time. They're really, really nice. I take my trees extremely seriously, as you probably know if you've seen my videos before. If you aren't a tree gangster like me and you would like to skip past this, click in the next chapter in the time bar. Otherwise, enjoy the next couple of minutes as I bring some life to the place. One last prop I forgot to place before are these skin drying racks, which were in use before the Neolithic period as well. These are just to stretch out animal hides. A great technique you can do with Move It that many people don't know is if you press the period or the comma buttons, you can change the size of props. So we'll make these smaller and sheep-sized. You can also change colors with Move It as well. You don't have to make everything into procedural objects if it's just simple things like this. Now let's add some villager props, as seen in our opening video. I wanted to do something a bit funny like that, since, again, we don't have any real game action happening until we connect our network and get people moving in. It's all kind of a mock-up or a diorama. So at this phase of the Neolithic, we're seeing villages, but they're still very small. They're quite egalitarian. While food surplus will eventually lead to division of labor and class structures, at this point everybody is still working together like before, just this time they're doing agricultural stuff instead of hunting and gathering. The villages are small, so there isn't much specialization going on yet. Things are often quite peaceful, so there's no need to fortify the village just yet. Anyone who comes to attack will likely be as vulnerable in attacking as the defenders are in defending. But will its peace last? I think we all know the answer to that. The question I have for you who have watched this episode is, what should I do in the next episode? We got a few options. We could develop the other villages in a long episode. I could develop the villages in a live stream, maybe. or I could build them off camera and just do a showcase afterwards. We still have to connect the villages with transportation networks, dig stone quarries, erect megaliths like menhirs and dolmens, create funerary spaces for the dead, and make some basic fishing. I want to make this series enjoyable for everyone who watches, so let me know what you think. I really will try to tailor these episodes for my friends who watch these so that it's fun for everyone. Now let's say goodbye to this old Paleolithic campsite. We've come a long way since the old days of being nomads.
Yeah, bro, didn't you hear? We're nomadic hunter-gatherers.
And as we learn more technologies and interact with more peoples, we'll keep growing and expanding. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. But every stage will impact the city for the rest of time. If you're watching this, you can say you've been here since the very beginning. In the meanwhile, be sure to watch my 100% Vanilla Baby Series 2 and see my labor of love making an organic tropical city without any mods or custom assets. And, as always, I'll see you next time. On the next episode of OXG, other villages, stone quarries, megaliths, you tell me what you'd like to see.